What were your impressions Saturday?
Man, we were obviously right there in it. You had some guys that made some plays and missed a couple of plays as well. Kind of how it goes when you're in a tight ball game. I did think the guys, played hard and played tough and physical. Just didn't make enough plays there at the end to win it.
Looks like he's trending towards Hudson to be starter again. And can you just talk about that decision and what you saw at him on Saturday?
Yeah, I thought he showed a lot of grit and toughness. Made some really really nice throws and found some easy completions. I thought he operated the offense well. And he's a talented individual, and so it just felt like he gave us the best chance to move the ball and generate some explosive plays.
With the struggles, do you think the demeanor of the locker room has changed at all?
It's obviously very disappointed and melancholy after the game, but they also see the last two of the last three games we've been there right at the end, in overtime. Where that wasn't the case early in the season. And so I think they see their progress. Obviously losing sucks and, all that comes with losing. But I do feel like and believe and have seen that they have held tight together and continue to work. We've had guys all through the building today and it's their day off. Getting extra film study in and extra work in the weight room. So I do appreciate this team's resolve from that standpoint, and their desire to dive into the work and dig into the process and continue to fight and compete.
Ryan, can you talk about just the genesis of the Rigby-Tibbs pass throw? I imagine you've been working on that for a few weeks, and just the use of, I guess, of gimmick or trick plays overall.
Sorry, I didn't catch the first part.
Just talk about the genesis of the Shamar Rigby.
Oh, yeah.
Sharon Tibbs pass.
Yeah, it was a red area thought, just to generate an explosive play or try to get them, off balance. I thought Shamar showed a lot of poise and guts. It looked like he was doing quarterback drills with us. So that was a gutsy play from a freshman, to be able to step up in the pocket and then throw an accurate pass to Tibbs to get us a first down and right there on the goal line.
What was some of the motivation for the team moving forward here? The schedule is well documented as far as who you're playing here and just what you'd like to try to accomplish down the stretch.
Yeah, the motivation is in the competition and the opportunities to go compete in some of the great venues in this conference and against some of the premier teams in college football. And so that's the motivation. And again, like the want to and the drive to continue to improve. Obviously we want to win games, and we are working tirelessly to do so. But the motivation is in the competition and the individual desire to get better.
To follow up on what he was asking about the gimmick play, it seems like there's been at least one of those per game since you took over as play caller. Was it something that you felt was missing earlier this season, or something that you thought was just opening up?
Yeah, you're just trying to find ways to catch the defense off guard. When you show that you're willing to call and execute trick plays like that poses problems for the defense to try to work on what potentially could be coming. And it's just another way to try to get explosive yardage and trick the defense. And so that's something that I wanted to for sure implement and not be afraid to call during the game. And they've worked out for the most part for us. Obviously we had a chance with Max on one of them into the boundary, but one of the second level defenders got the face mask on Hudson on that play. But yeah, just trying to be creative and generate some excitement and some explosive yardage.
You say generate some excitement. Is that as much with the team as it is anything else? Like, do you feel like players enjoy those?
They have fun with it. I mean, that's everything we do is for the players, right? And so that's they have fun with those type of plays. You should have seen their reaction after Shamar made the pass. And so that's the thought process behind that.
As this season progresses and you guys are still chasing wins, is there any balance shift at all between winning now and then also having to get game reps for younger guys to develop for the future?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting game reps from younger guys just by nature of where we are from a roster standpoint. You look at, Shamar Rigby is a true freshman. Obviously Ryan Brown's a redshirt freshman. Jaheim has played some this year. He's a freshman. Tibbs is a sophomore. C.J. Smith is a sophomore. Denylon Morstead's a sophomore. Max Clare is a sophomore. George Byrne is a redshirt freshman. And sort of the list goes on. That's just the offensive side of the ball. So, just in terms of, right now we're trying to improve as a program and trying to win as a program. And just by nature of where we are from a roster standpoint, those younger guys are getting, valuable in-game experience, against, one of the tougher schedules in the country. So I think we're doing both right now just by nature.
When you were putting this freshman class together, this last signing class together, did you expect it to have a lot of reps on the field this year? I know that's a broad question.
Yeah.
It probably differs from player to player, but has it been more than you expected?
Yeah, it has been, and some of it's by injury. But yeah, I mean, we knew, like I've said earlier, like we knew that first class was going to be huge for us. And then the class that we just took, we felt like there was a lot of talented individuals in there that would be able to help us this year. Didn't know how much they would be asked to contribute, but have been happy with the way they've approached their craft. And then also, with the majority of the transfers that we took, we took some younger guys to help implement and develop and really fill gaps that were in our roster from a depth chart standpoint. So I knew we were going to be a young team this year. I didn't know it was going to be this young, just like I said, by nature of some of the injuries that we've had.
Ryan, you mentioned Saturday how tough it is to go through a season like this and keep a locker room unified, and somehow, from the guys we talked to, it seems like nobody's off the train here. Why has that happened where you've managed to, for the most part, keep these guys playing together?
I think, from a leadership standpoint, just talking from the staff, you have to be consistent in your approach. You can't ride the wave of emotion and start acting on the impulse, because I think then there creates doubt. And you don't want doubt to start creeping in. That's when you start getting the locker room divided or undetected emotions, right? And I think through the failures that we've had this year, we've been able to point out reasons why, and have done our best to provide solutions so that you can point to areas where you can improve. And I think if you provide those and then you see the improvement, from some of those areas of mistakes, then it generates and keeps belief within your roster. And I think that's where we're at. The guys have been working their tails off, and there are improvements in play. Like I said, the last 2 of the last 3 games we're in overtime. That wasn't the case early in the year. And so I think guys we've got guys that like football and love the process and want to get better. And so I think that's why there hasn't been any division in the locker room.
Jason Simmons said something about the maturity and character of a lot of these guys. Is that a specific trait when you're recruiting that you're looking for in individuals?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to get mature individuals in your roster, Especially a place like Purdue where academics are high and schoolwork is challenging. And I do think this place provides an environment where guys can dive into the work, because it's not like a party school or there's not in a big city where there's a lot of distractions. So I think getting mature guys and also the nature of the environment that they're in just provides opportunities for growth from a maturity standpoint pretty early in their careers.
The sort of passing rhythm Hudson was able to get into Saturday, the ability to make some plays down the field, that seemed pretty hard to come by previously in the season. What was different Saturday?
I can't speak to really what was going on earlier in the season. I know, right now from a game plan standpoint, like we try to scheme plays where we can push the ball down the field based on the type of coverages that we're expecting to see. I think guys we've had continuity in the offensive line as well. So I think protection has been good as of late. And I think, the relationship between Hudson and the wideouts, including, the tight end room, just has continued to grow. So if we dial up the right scheme and guys are running the right route, Hudson can get them the ball pretty accurately. And I think that's sort of what we saw on Saturday.
Ohio State's a who's who of talent everywhere you turn. What specifically, when you look at start with their offense, just they've got a lot of balance, a lot of places to go. How do you deal with that in their home environment? And then look at them from the defensive side. What kind of things can you maybe do to try to exploit them? Yeah,
you look at just their team in its entirety, like very, very talented roster, right? So you couple the talented roster with the level of coaching that is at Ohio State. I got a lot of respect for a lot of those guys and the staff there. That's why you get a team like Ohio State, right? Offensively, they're able to be balanced because of the amount of playmakers they have on the field. They got the top two running backs are two of the better backs in the country. Tight ends are versatile, both in the run game and in the pass game. And then obviously like the history of the wideouts that they have there sort of speaks for itself. And they got as talented a freshman receiver that I think we've seen. And then on defense, obviously very you see a lot of guys that on the field that you're going to be seeing on Sundays. And that I think they have depth at a lot of different positions as well, so they stay fresh. They throw a lot of different coverages at you to keep you off balance. And they got two of the better man cover corners in our league. And so, obviously it's going to be a big challenge. Looking forward to playing in a venue that's as historic as Ohio State, and looking forward to going and competing against the best. That is why you play in this conference. That's why you come to a school like Purdue, is to be able to go compete with and give your all to against the some of the better teams in the country.
One more question for Coach.
When you guys took Jairo Ojada, did you think it might take this long into the season before he started to acclimate the way he needed to at this level and get a peak performance, consistent performance?
Yeah, we did. When you get a guy from the level that he was at, and his background is not playing football for a while or later in his career, I should say. We didn't take him expecting him to have to contribute right away. We took him. Obviously, there was a lot of potential there, and it was just a matter of, how quickly could he reach that potential to be able to help us on game days. And we're kind of seeing where his potential is starting to be realized. And I think he'll continue to get more run, throughout these last 4 games, because of the way he's worked and the amount of growth that he's had, just from an understanding perspective and knowing how to play football, and the physicality with which it's required to have success at this level.
Ryan, you talked about being in it in overtime 2 of the last 3 games. You came back from 17-3 the other day to get to overtime, and 27-3 I think at Illinois, and then think back to the Oregon State game. Even is maybe a strong start, just maybe what this team's missing from having 3 or 4 wins at this point.
Yeah, I do think that has obviously when you're having to battle back, just it puts the stress on having to make plays late higher. And so, the first play of the game, we miss an explosive, you know what I mean? And then later in the drive, I think it was the second series, Hudson barely gets his arm hit and Max is wide open, could have walked in, and I think we ended up with a field goal on that drive. And so we're close. Like there are plays that are right there. We've got to find a way to break through in those type of moments to capitalize on those type of plays, and we will. I got every confidence in these guys that we'll get that done because of the way they've worked and the way they've handled the adversity up to this point.
Jason talked a little bit about the quarterbacks. Hudson's going to start, but there is no predetermined plan when Ryan's going to play, or if he is going to play, or is that not the case? As we are diving into the game plan process, if there is opportunities where Ryan can help us, more so than Hudson can, and trying to move the ball, then that we'll play the best 11 that give us an opportunity to.